Hello, everybody. Buddy Webb, Midland, Texas. What I'm showing you here is a can of tear gas that I had bought trying to tear gas my attic and get these burglars to stop breaking in. And then also on the left is a transcript of a court case, the protective order hearing, that was on December 18, 2013, about 22 months after the murder attempt on my life, the 318th Judicial District Court in Midland. And I was asked, did you ever have any big cans of tear gas? And then on and is it the kind you maybe take the pin out into the top and throw? They were kind of insinuating like it was a grenade. I said, well, you punch a button on top. It's like a bug bomb. It's what it is. Anyway, I got a story here that is about tear gas in the attic here, and I think that might have led up to the home invasion where I put electricity on my doorknob, and then I believe a guy died, was electrocuted, and then 2 weeks later I was shot, my phone lines cut. So it might have all happened because here I was trying to stop these crimes against me when the police wasn't doing their job, because they're part of this organized crime. Okay, here we go. This is a short read. Tear gas in the attic. My first report for people in the attic was in January 2011. I reported this burglary of a habitation felony to the police, who refused to investigate and called me 1096 or crazy on the police report. Police didn't tell me these same crimes were being reported at many other homes, and now I know this is what they've done to each of the crime victims. It's the modus operandi for this organized crime. For a long time, I tried to find proof, but I slowly figured out that our police and our press already knew about the crimes which they're hiding from the public, and of course the unsuspecting crime victims like me. Based on what happened to me, if a crime victim attempts to stop the crimes on their own, they're murdered, and it's covered up with the help of the police and the press. Possibly that's what happened to the last owner of this home, Mike Lawhon. As I was told, he was telling his friends about people breaking this home before he died. I tried to get the police reports for when he lived here, but was denied access to them by the police and Texas Attorney General Greg Paxton. For this reason, I suspect they'll prove this did happen and maybe incriminate the corrupt police covering up his murder. Here are a few things I did trying to stop the repeating crimes at my home before they cut my phone lines and shot me. I bolted the attic door shut, but this didn't stop the crimes, and then I figured out they had rigged this home and they were coming up a wall with crawl space which led to a tunnel. This allowed them to come and go all they wanted without being seen. I believe the same thing is going on at the many other rigged homes. I found what I believe was a tunnel entrance in my next door neighbor's backyard, and after I made this public, it was moved or removed. This was after I had been shot by somebody under my home with my phone lines cut. I installed cameras which never saw anybody, even though I could hear the burglars, and they would set off motion detectors. I made about 100 videos of that. I finally proved they were hacking the cameras. I provided that to law enforcement. Made it public, gave it to the press. One day I saw a young Hispanic guy on camera in my attic, but he was out of sight before I could get the recorder going. This happened with the attic doors bolted shut, so I knew he wasn't coming in the doors, and helped prove they were coming up a wall. This isn't a theory or what if could be. That's what's going on. And several times I tear gassed the attic. I found a product on the internet called Clear Out. I showed you a picture of it. And it was meant to flush criminals out of enclosed places, which is exactly what I was looking for. The first time we gassed the attic was on a Sunday, and it was the ex-wife's idea to do it on that day. I shut off the dryer, air conditioner, anything else that was making noise so I could hear better. I then yelled up in the attic telling the burglars that what I was going to do and advising them to give up. But it was very quiet that day. I'm not sure they were here, and even wondered if the ex-wife had pre-warned them, as it was her idea that day. The cans had a button on top. When you pushed it down, it let out the gas, kind of like a bug bomb. She was at the garage entrance door, and I was at the one in the hallway. At the same time, we activated the tear gas canisters and threw them into the attic. We met in the backyard, coughing and crying. That's how powerful this stuff is. And I sure wouldn't want to be in the attic when that happens. It was total silence that day. The second time I gassed the attic, a motion detector had gone off in the attic, so I knew they were here. The ex-wife was here taking a bath. By this time, I'd found some of the canisters of tear gas that had a tube on them. This way, I could leave the attic door shut and just snake the tube through a small hole that had drilled into the attic. I could hear the burglars moving around and after releasing the gas. I was only married to the ex-wife for 3 months before she moved out. By this time, I was convinced that she was working with the people breaking into my home. I was determined to stop these crimes, so one night I pretended to go to sleep while knowing they slept here each night. About an hour later, I jumped up, ran across the house to the breaker box, and killed the power to the entire house. I did this because I knew they were stealing services from me, such as shelter, heating, cooling, electricity. I was putting them in the dark. I already had 3 cans set up and ready to go, which I quickly set off, and I could hear them scrambling around in a panic. They were not being quiet that night. I got them good, real good. The next day I come home from work and I heard a burglar moving across my ceiling while coughing. I was disappointed because I'd hoped they would leave my home. I figured that if I used 10 cans of tear gas instead of 3, then nobody would walk out alive. But I didn't want to kill anybody, even though they were breaking into my home, stealing from me, and threatening my life. I just wanted the police to do their job and stop the crimes. I was concerned about retribution, and that next weekend was when I noticed that somebody was trying to come into my bedroom while I was there. By this time, I'd suspected they kicked open the back door before killing the previous owner, Mike Lawhon. I'd found proof the back door was kicked open the month he died. This was when I put electricity on the bedroom doorknob to stop them. And based on evidence, I now believe that landman attorney Matt Hyman was electrocuted and died outside my bedroom. All of my doors and windows were bolted shut, so I knew they came in from the underground trapdoor entrance the ex-wife had already told me about. It makes sense that Matt's friends saw him get electrocuted, and instead of calling 911 to try and save his life, they chose to let him die. If they had called for help, then that would expose the tunnels, underground homes, crimes, and murders connected with them. They would have been arrested themselves because they were all breaking into a private home. 2 weeks later, I was shot with my phone lines cut in a premeditated murder attempt, and I wondered if this was planned because they had blamed me for Matt dying in my home. Maybe revenge was the motive for murder, as weird as that sounds. We all know that I have the right to protect my life and property just like anybody else, and nobody has the right to break into our home. I don't care how many $1 million underground homes you got, how many corrupt police you got, how many corrupt press you got, how many corrupt elected leaders you got. The law says I have the right to protect my life and property in my home. At the protective order hearing 2 years after I was crippled for life in a home invasion and premeditated capital attempted murder, the ADA, Stacy Jewett, brought up me tear gas in the attic. That's what I showed you a minute ago. She was trying to make me look crazy in court, which was before I had all of the proof that I now have. I suspected that she already knew about the $1 million underground home in my backyard that was used for the oil show parties, and she also knew about the many homes that were rigged for people in the attic felonies. This means she knew that I was a crippled crime victim while she attacked me in court. I believe this to be judicial misconduct. Judge Ruckner ruled, and I was given a lifetime protective order which took away my right to own guns for life. This left me disabled, defenseless, and criminals allowed to break into my home each day to steal from me and threaten my life. Maybe they thought I'd be scared, sell my home, and move, but I'm not going anywhere. My faith's in God, and I don't want to see this happen to another innocent homeowner. I believe that some very bad things have been going on here in Midland. He's doing something big here. Okay, I'm going to show you again. See the tube that goes around it? That's what I snaked up into the attic, let off, and it works. I'm telling you, folks. Buddy Way, Midland, Texas.